BoogeyMan band coming round the bend. Is BoogeyMan band. Is BoogeyMan band.
Greetings, my fellow fiends, and thanks so much for dropping by the Horror Zone. I hope everyone's doing well. Today's video is going to be a non-horror video. This is going to be talking about something that I mentioned in my year-end video, where I talked about the fact that I had finally seen the pilot for what was supposed to be a series based on the film franchise Beverly Hills Cop. Now, this was supposed to have come out in 2013. It was going to star Brandon T. Jackson as Axel Foley's son, Aaron. It was supposed to be released on CBS television. And after the pilot was screened, from my understanding, people were so sort of ecstatic that Eddie Murphy made a cameo in the pilot as Axel Foley, the first time he would have played the character in 20 years. That the idea of a show focusing on a different character, not Axel, but his son, Aaron, just didn't seem as enticing, and that's when things started to move slowly, but that's when the idea of a fourth Beverly Hills Cop film became the focus for Paramount Studios. The franchise, to me, is one of my favorites, and this was, especially Beverly Hills Cop 1 and 2, they were staples for me as a kid. I mean, they made me the Eddie Murphy fan that I became. And Beverly Hills Cop 3 was disappointing, but I still remember going to see that in the movie theater at least. I probably saw that in the movie theater like 7 times, just because I was such a fan of the franchise and I wanted there to be a fourth film. And you know, there's been a lot of false starts and stops, so when it finally went into production last summer, I was ecstatic. But you know, you're going to be seeing the return of a lot of these the main franchise characters, like John Ashton. He's going to be back as Taggart. Judge Reinhold is coming back as Billy Rosewood. You have Bronson Pinchot back as Serge, and Paul Reiser back as Jeffrey. So seeing those guys, I'm really excited to see what Mark Malloy, this is his first film, is going to do with this. I've heard rumors. I think I saw an interview with John Ashton saying that he feels like that Mark Malloy is very much in line with what Martin Brest, who directed the original Beverly Hills Cop, brought to the table. So really excited for this. Of course, seeing Eddie Murphy come back and play my favorite character he's ever portrayed on screen. And then, of course, having Jerry Bruckheimer producing this one, who Don Simpson and Jerry Bruckheimer produced the first 2 films, but did not do the third film, and it really showed. So yeah, I'm really excited about this. I'm excited to see this film. I hope it's supposed to be coming out this year. It's going to be Netflix. It's a Netflix film. It's similar to The Glass Onion, Rian Johnson's follow-up to his film Knives Out with Daniel Craig. I believe that had a small theatrical run before it hit Netflix on the 23rd of last month. So I'm wondering if they're going to do the same thing with Beverly Hills Cop. I would really love to see the fourth film in a theater, because I saw the first 3, all 3 of the first original films in the theater. Really excited for this film, but again, this video is going to be talking about that unaired pilot. So Aaron Foley is a Detroit police officer who's working undercover with them to help bring down this criminal organization. He's tracked this criminal from Detroit, and what ends up happening is his undercover operation goes awry. People are killed, and he ends up teaming up with 2 detectives from the Beverly Hills Police Department and uncovers a bigger conspiracy at play. For our cast, you have Brandon T. Jackson as Aaron Foley, you have Christine Lottie as Helen, David Denman as Brad, Gideon Emery as Lyle Hawes, Carlo Rhoda as Trevor, Kevin Pollak as Rodney DeLoof, and as a special guest star, Eddie Murphy reprises his role as Axel Foley. The movie was written by Sean Ryan and directed by Barry Sonnenfeld. So the biggest issue was the fact that, you have this legacy character in Axel Foley that everybody knows, that is one of the most popular, if not the most popular character Eddie Murphy's ever played, showing up in the show where you're trying to focus people on the character of Aaron Foley, which would be Axel's son, and people just want to see Axel Foley. So I think that's what doomed the show from the start. In watching the show, I've never been a huge fan of Brandon T. Jackson. I've seen him in things like he was in Tropic Thunder. I saw him in Lottery Ticket. I always thought he was pretty funny. I really think this was something that could have really escalated his career and made him more of a household name. And it's a shame that it didn't happen, because I really think he does well as Aaron Foley. It takes a while, as the beginning of the the pilot or the TV movie, if you want to call it that, because it never became a series. You see him involved in this undercover sting. It goes wrong. At first, I was kind of put off by his character a little bit. But as the show rolled and things started happening, I really think that his comedy got stronger. And the two cops he ends up working with out of the Beverly Hills Police Department, Layla and Brad, David Denman and Sheila Vand, I really thought the camaraderie between the three grew as the show progressed, as this TV movie progressed, and I felt like they had a good dynamic. Also, I loved Kevin Pollak in it. I've always been a huge fan of him. And of course, the highlight for me, being a fan of the franchise, was seeing Eddie Murphy show up as Axel Foley. And it made sense why he showed up in the film when he did. The thing I do want to point out is that, a lot of people felt like Axel Foley was really off in Beverly Hills Cop 3, and I know Eddie Murphy wanted to play him more serious in that film, but it ended up just becoming it just didn't feel like the same character. In this one, I felt like there was a better balance. He felt like an older Axel Foley, but he still had that sly humor, and I think that's something that was so sorely missing in that third film, that I really felt like this seemed like the Axel we knew in his 20s, just now he's in his early 50s, and he looks great. I love the interaction between him and Brandon T. Jackson. They really had that father-son dynamic that wasn't overbearing. And there's this scene in this hotel where they're trying to scam this hotel to get them this presidential suite, and it's really, really a great scene and really shows. The way that it came off, I felt like both comedians were improvising, and it was great because they both worked off of each other's comedic strengths, and it was just one of my favorite scenes in the entire TV movie. I just thought it was brilliant. Knowing that Eddie Murphy was only going to do this pilot, I think, is what sank it. But even that being said, as the show progressed, as we got to the conclusion of this first episode of what could have been a series, I could have seen myself watching this with Aaron Foley as the main character and not really have a problem with it. It did feel like a passing of the torch. I could have lived with Eddie not being in it after that first episode. It just all made sense to me, but at the same time, we wanted to see, we see Beverly Hills Cop, we think Eddie Murphy, we think Axel Foley, and I think that's why this show was kind of doomed before it could really take off or even get exposed to an audience. If you look online, there's still not a lot of information about it. And historically, you would see at least the TV movie get aired, even if the series didn't get picked up. But this was something where I think they just had test screenings, and because nobody wanted to move forward with it, they wanted to move forward with a new movie instead and dropped the idea of a series after the premieres tested the way they did. It's a shame that nobody got to see this, but like I said, there is a link to it. I will put it down below. If I had to give this a rating on my scale, again, I really enjoyed it. I had fun with it. The more times I revisited it, it was less of culture shock. Seeing somebody else, playing a Axel Foley type character, this being Axel Foley's son. I thought Brandon T. Jackson did a great job. I think the supporting cast did a great job. And seeing Eddie Murphy come back as Axel Foley and play him like I had hoped he would have played him in Beverly Hills Cop 3 was also really awesome, and it makes me excited for the fourth film. I really am excited for this fourth Beverly Hills Cop film, but it's a shame that we didn't at least get to see a little bit more of Aaron Foley and this universe that they established with this television movie, this pilot. I had to give this a rating on my scale. I would give Beverly Hills Cop, the TV movie from 2013, 3.5 skulls. So yeah, it was a blast. I'm glad that I stumbled upon this link to the actual episode, and like I said, I'll put it down below. You guys can check it out for yourself. It is still available. They haven't pulled it yet, so you guys can watch the episode and judge it for yourself. Like I said, it was a lot of fun. It really was. It had a lot more energy to it than Beverly Hills Cop 3, and it sort of felt like it fit in the same universe, especially as those first two films. So yeah, check it out. Let me know your thoughts. Thanks so much again for stopping by, and I promise there's some really good content coming up real soon. So take it easy. Stay scared as always. Peace. Hey fellow Fright Fiends, just want to say thank you again for supporting BoogeyMan Ben's Horror Zone. If you're brand new to the channel and you haven't yet subscribed, please hit the subscribe button down below, hit the bell notification so you're updated every time I drop a new video. I typically do this once or twice a week with new content. I've been doing this for over 11 years and the horror genre is a passion of mine, and it really means a lot to me that I can share that passion with all of you guys. Thanks so much again for the support, and I'll talk to you again later. Take it easy, stay scared as always. Peace.